Hello friends, myself Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure, and today I am going to explain about the Vedic literature Shruti and Smriti. The Vedic age started with the coming of Aryans or Indo-Aryans. It refers to that time period when the Vedic Sanskrit texts were composed in India. The society that emerged during that time is known as Vedic period or Vedic age civilization. The Vedic civilization flourished between 1500 BC and 500 BC on the Indo-Gangetic plains of the Indian subcontinent. This is the next major civilization that occurred in ancient India after the decline of the Indus Valley civilization by 1400 BC. The Vedas are also the chief source of information about this era. This civilization laid down the foundation of Hinduism as well as the associated Indian culture. The Vedic age was followed by the golden age of Hinduism and classical Sanskrit literature, the Mauryan Empire, and the Middle Kingdoms of India. Sanskrit literature is the primary source of information regarding the Vedic society and culture of ancient India. The Vedas were composed in this period, and this gives this age the name. Early Vedic period or Rig Vedic period was between 1500 BC to 1000 BC. Later Vedic period or painted grey ware phase was between 1000 BC to 600 BC. Early Vedic period, that is initially the Aryans lived in the land of Sap-Sindhus, land of seven rivers. These seven rivers were Sindhu, Indus, Vipash, Bias, Vitasta, Jhelum, Parushni, Ravi, Asikani, Chenab, Shatudri, Satluj, and Saraswati. The wisdom and knowledge of the Aryans is contained in their sacred literature, collectively known as Vedic literature. Later Vedic period, during this time, the Aryans moved eastward and occupied western and eastern UP, Kosala, and Bihar. The Vedic literature of India is that literature which was composed and compiled during the Vedic period based on or derived from the Vedas. The texts which constitute the Vedic literature are the four Vedas in their Samhita and the allied literature based on or derived from the Vedas. The Brahmans attached to each of the Samhita, the Aranyakas, the Upanishads. Vedic literature is divided into 8 categories, namely Vedas, Brahman, Aranyakas, Upanishad, Vedang, Upaveda, Itihas, and Puran. Samhita. Samhita is a Sanskrit word that may be interpreted as meaning to arrange together in union or a structured combination of verses or text, from the root word sam meaning correct and proper and hita meaning arranged of wholesome. Samhita literally means compilation of suktas or hymns. The basic material or mantra text of each of the Veda is called Samhita. The Samhitas are the most ancient part of the Vedas, which are the most ancient Hindu and yogic texts containing mantra, prayers, litanies, and hymns to God. The Hindus believe that the texts were received direct from God by scholars and that they were then passed on for thousands of years. As such, they are sometimes referred to as Shruti, meaning that which is heard. Some post-Vedic texts are also known as Samhita, such as Ashtavakra Gita, Bhrigu Samhita, Brahma Samhita, Dev Samhita, Garg Samhita, Kashyap Samhita, Shiv Samhita, and Yagnavalakya Samhita. Each of the four Vedas is arranged into 4 chronological parts, of which the Samhita are the first. The 4 Samhitas are Rig Veda Samhita, that is the oldest Veda, containing 1028 hymns devoted to ancient gods. Yajur Veda Samhita is a handbook for priests performing sacrifices. Sam Veda Samhita contains chants and songs to sing during sacrifices. Athar Veda Samhita contain ancient spells and magical charms that predate the Aryan influence. The other 3 are the Brahmans, which are guides to rituals and prayers for peace. The Aranyakas contain principles of worship and meditation. The Upanishad contain teachings of the mystical and philosophical elements of Hinduism. Some scholars categorize the Samhita and the Brahmans together as the Karma Kand part of the Vedas because they contain information relevant to rituals and ceremonies. It is believed that having been orally transmitted for so many years, the Samhitas were brought to India by the Aryans and took their present form sometime between 1200 to 200 BC. The Vedic literature is roughly divided into three periods: the Mantra period, when the Samhitas were composed; the Brahman period, when the Brahmans, Upanishad, and Aranyakas were composed; and the Sutra period. Shruti and Smriti. Vedic literature is broadly divided into two categories: Shruti and Smriti. Both categories have many religious and philosophical literature. Shruti contains Vedas, Brahmans, Aranyakas, Upanishad. Smriti contains Vedang, Shatdarshan, Puran, Itihas, Upaved, Tantra, Agam, and Upang. Shruti literature. Shruti is a word in Sanskrit that literally means what is heard in Hinduism and is canonical, revealed by God Himself, and unquestionable. It is considered authorless and eternal in nature. Thus, it is not open to judgment or evaluation. Vedas are not created by man, and our sages are not authors of Vedas, as contrasted to Smriti, that which is remembered by ordinary human beings. Though Shruti is considered to be more authoritative in practice, the Smriti texts are more influential in modern Hinduism. Shruti describes the sacred text comprising the central canon of Hinduism, the four Vedas, Brahmans, Aranyakas, and 108 Upanishads. Vedas and are Shruti scriptures, and is said and believed that rishis in the state of sadhana or samadhi heard Vedas directly from Parabrahma Parameshwar. Brahmins are commentaries on the four Vedas and deals with the proper performance of rituals. Brahmins are ritualistic, and all rituals are outward in nature, proceeding primarily through speech, breath, and mind. Vedas are basically classified into two categories: mantra or Samhita part and Brahman part. Samhita is the core part of Vedas, which is heard by Rishi, and Brahmins are the interpretation and commentaries on mantras or Samhita part of Vedas, which help to explain, understand the meaning and significance of Vedas, and also provide the way of doing rites or rituals. Each Brahman is associated with one of the four Vedas. Due to very much significance and influence of Brahmins, it is considered as the part of the Vedas and hence classified as Shruti. Brahmins constitute Aranyakas at the end, and Aranyakas constitute Upanishads at the end. Rig Veda includes Aitreyi, Kaushitaki, and Samkhyana. Yajur Veda includes Kastaka, Kapilstaka, Maitrayani, Taitreyi. Samveda includes Panchvisha, Shadvisha, Jaiminiya. Athar Veda includes Gopatha. Aranyakas are extracted from Brahmins, and Upanishads are extracted from Aranyakas, except from the Isha Upanishad, which is the last part of Shukla Yajur Veda. Smriti literature. Smriti literally means that which is remembered, or which is based upon memory, and it is the entire body of the post-Vedic classical Sanskrit literature. In other words, which is produced out of human intellect or from perishable source. These are texts written and composed by rishis and handed down by tradition. So, in contrast to Shruti, which is authorless, divine origin, Smriti is derivative work produced out of intellect that is usually attributed to an author. Smriti texts are written on the basis of or inspired by Shruti but given less importance or supremacy than Shruti. It comprises Vedang, Shatdarshan, Puran, Itihas, Upaved, Tantra, Agam, and Upang. There is another post Vedic class of Sanskrit literature called epics, which includes Ramayana and Mahabharata. Smriti text comprises that part of Vedic literature as is remembered and may change over time. Sacred texts other than Shruti are categorized as Smriti. The Smriti or Dharma Shastra also are books written by sages, but they are not final authority. Smritis are the creation of ancient seers and sages. They have secondary authority and in fact they derive their authority from Shruti. Smriti literature elaborates, integrates, and codifies Vedic thought, but being derived, it is considered less authoritative than the Vedic Shruti. Most modern Hindus have great familiarity with Smriti scriptures. The text includes the most important religious manuals known as Kalpa Sutra, Puran, Ramayana, Mahabharata. The latter contains within it probably the single most influential text in Hinduism, the Bhagavad Gita. If one goes by types, Smritis are basically of two types. One type is that which explains Shastra, while the other type deals with codes of conduct. Epic Ramayana and Mahabharata are prime Smriti with examples. Bhagavad Gita is another text that falls in the category of Smriti. It deals with philosophy of life. Purana are Smriti that are considered with ancient stories and histories, while Dharma Shastra books are Smritis that can be freely equated with law books of the past. It is thus clear that both Shruti and Smriti forms of Vedic literature that both are crucial for those interested in understanding Hinduism. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please like the video to motivate me, share it for others and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. If one is reading Smriti and have some doubts, one can always fall back upon Shruti to clear the doubt as they remain the final authority in sacred literature of Hinduism. If there is anything else which contradicts the Shruti, the Smriti is to be rejected. Next in importance to Shruti are the Smritis or secondary structures. The words which are expressly called Smriti are law books, Dharma Shastra. These are ancient sacred law codes of the Hindus dealing with Sanatan, Varna, Ashram, Dharma. Smriti in broader sense covers all Hindu Shastras, says Veda. They supplement and explain the ritualistic injunctions called Vidhis in the Vedas. The Smriti Shastra is found on the Shruti. The Smritis are based on the teaching of Vedas. The Smriti stands next in authority to the Shruti. It explains and develops Dharma. It lays down laws which regulate national, social, family, and individual obligations. The law for regulating Hindu society from time to time are codified in Smriti. The Smriti have laid down definite rules and laws to guide the individuals and communities in the daily conduct and to regulate the manner and customs. The Smritis have given detailed instructions according to the conditions of the time to all classes regarding their duties in life. The Hindus learn how he has to spend his whole life from these Smritis. The duties of Varnashram and all ceremonies are clearly given in these books. The Smritis prescribed certain acts and prohibit some others for a Hindu according to his birth and stage of life. The object of the Smriti is to purify the heart of man and take him gradually to the supreme abode of immortality and make him perfect and free. These materials have been buried from time to time. The interactions and provisions of the Smriti are related to the particular social surroundings. As these surroundings and essential conditions of the Hindu society change from time to time, new Smriti has to be compiled by the sages of different ages and of different parts of India. From time to time, a great lawgiver would take his birth. He would codify the existing law and remove those which had become obsolete. He would make some alterations, adaptations, readjustments, additions, and subtraction to suit the needs of the time and see that the way of living of the people would be in accordance with the teachings of the Vedas. Of such lawgiver, Manu, Yagnavalaki, and Parashar are the most celebrated persons. Hindu society is founded on and governed by the laws made by these three great sages. The Smritis are named after them. We have Manu Smriti or Manav Dharma Shastra, the laws of Manu or the institutes of Manu. Yagnavalak Smriti follows the same general lines as well as Manu Smriti and is next in importance to it. Manu Smriti and Yagnavalak Smriti are universally accepted at the present time as authoritative works all over India. Yagnavalak Smriti is chiefly consulted in all matters of Hindu law. Even the government of India are applying some of these laws. There are 18 main Smriti or Dharma Shastra. The most important are those of Manu, Yagnavalakya and Parashar. The other 15 are Vishku, Daksha, Samvarta, Vyas, Harita, Tatatapa, Vashishtha, Yama, Apastamba, Gautam, Devala, Shankar Likhita, Usana, Atri, Sonaka. The laws of Manu are intended for Satyug. Those of Yagnavalakya are for Treta Yuga. Those of Shankar Likhita for Dwapar Yuga and those of Parashar are for Kal Yuga. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video and don't forget to subscribe.